Basketball fans, we've seen it all season, and the drama's only ramping up now that we're in the playoffs.
The first round brought us some great moments and some historical individual performances. But that means there are only a few weeks left to get in on the DraftKings Pick 6 action.
Right now, you can get in on all the DraftKings Pick 6 action, a brand new way to play daily fantasy sports. I've teamed up with our partners at DraftKings to offer all new customers who play $5, $50, and Pick 6 credits.
Getting started is simple. Just download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and sign up with code SMOKE. Pick at least 2 players and choose if they have more or less of a stat. Like will they score more or less than 30 points or have more or less than 8 assists?
DraftKings has hooked it up so you can bet on almost any stat. Points, assists, rebounds, threes made, blocks, steals, combos, and more. There are just truly so many ways to win. Your 2 to 6 players can be playing on the same team, in the same game, or playing hundreds of miles apart.
Start making your picks and compete against others for a shot at huge cash prizes.
Make sure you download DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Sign up using the code SMOKE, only at DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Anybody that has social media knows that at times it's imperative to choose chill. I can't tell you how many times I started typing out a response to a troll only to say, you know what? Nah.
Whenever that happens, it's the perfect time to reach out for an ice-cold Coors Light. I just love the crisp, refreshing taste. And it isn't only when I'm on social media. I try to grab every possible opportunity to choose chill and then reach for a refreshing Coors Light.
There's nothing better than hanging with your homies, NBA playoffs on TV, and cold Coors Light in your hand. As the weather starts to warm up, you gotta go with the beer that tells you when it's ready to drink.
When the mountains turn blue, you know it's cold as the Rockies. Straight from Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
So make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door from Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/smoke. And always make sure you celebrate responsibly. Welcome back, All the Smoke, Miami Run. Beautiful Miami. I like your Dickie suit, bro.
Appreciate it,
That
bro.
shit clean. You got that in different colors, too.
Yep, cheap.
Yeah.
$100.
Is it? Top
That's
and
it.
bottom?
Top and
I need
bottom.
to get with the program.
Yeah.
Man, we got a special one today. Someone we've been, had our eye on for a long time. I ran into him last summer in Vegas, and we finally ran him down at the beginning of this summer. Yeah, on the golf course. Man, 7-time All-Star, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2006 champion, 3-time Biggie Defensive Player of the Year. Man, welcome to the show, Alonzo Mourning.
Thank you, brother.
So appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being
We
here.
Thanks
appreciate
for
the
having
time.
me, gentlemen. And again, congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
4 years, and it's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah.
How y'all set an amazing platform for guys to come in and speak their mind and have some real conversations.
Yeah, no, we pride ourselves on that. You've served as VP of Player Program and Development for the Heat since 2009. But I want to back up a little bit from your when you retired, that transition. What was that transition from? I've been an athlete my entire career.
Yeah.
It's over now.
Yep.
What's next? How was that journey for you?
It was a difficult journey because, the competitive juices were still flowing, for all of us. I mean, you guys shared that journey with me. And when it stops, you got to find something to kind of supplement, to kind of supplement that loss, that competitiveness, that camaraderie. And at first, outside of my business interests, and all my foundation stuff, that kept me busy, but nothing really filled that void of the competitiveness. Golf was the only thing I could think of at that particular time, where it was an opportunity for me to compete against me and work on my mentals more than just my body, because I felt like I had perfected this craft of basketball and done some amazing things at that level. So at the time, golf, and then I got the opportunity. I got the call from Riles and sat down with Mickey, and we talked about that transition into the front office and how I could help the organization from that perspective.
Interesting. We're in a super player empowerment era.
Yeah.
And obviously you're a little bit older than us, but we came from an era of what was told to do, we had to do it.
Yeah.
And we did it. And ups, downs, we had to deal with all of it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no running. There was no jumping. It's a little different these days.
Yeah.
And, what is you kind of feel like in the current kind of mentality of players when you came in the league to the mentality of players that are in the league now?
It's changed tremendously, and I think, and to be candid, because of the amount of wealth that is generated playing basketball, you mentioned the word empowerment. I think that from the perspective of players, it's kind of gone overboard because they feel so empowered, that they don't have to take instruction, and it's unfortunate that it's come to that, but it's also a beautiful thing that our game has grown accordingly. And I credit David Stern, God rest his soul, who was a dear friend of mine, and I had a chance to pick his brain, when he was with us. And then now Adam Silver and his staff, they're doing a tremendous job. They really are. They've grown the game tremendously from a global perspective. And the players are the product. We're reaping the benefits, and I know we all wish we could kind of turn back the hands. Yeah.
Just one of them.
Just turn back the hands of time, and benefit from the fruits of the labor that is put forth now, and then we got this TV deal coming up. And from my understanding, there's going to be some competition with NBC and TNT. So, I mean, that's going to be
more money.
Going to be worth the price of admission to watch that. So the players are going to benefit greatly from it, truly.
You spoke to the growth of the game and the vision of David Stern. And, as we currently speak, 5 straight years, foreign players have won MVPs. And the knock when you were coming in the game and when we were coming in the game was European players were a little soft and they couldn't kind of fit into the physicality of our game. Skilled, but couldn't fit into the physicality of our game. And I think with the growth of the game, it's kind of grown more toward a European style of basketball.
And you know what? And the reason being is because the mentality is different over there. The culture.
Speak to that.
Is different.
The rules fit them now too.
Yeah, I mean, they grow up a little hungrier, almost like we did when we were younger, there's a certain hunger level. I was with David Stern. We were playing an exhibition game and when we had the big 3 here in Miami. And I was coming down, it was him and I coming down on the elevator, and I just started working with the team recently and as vice president. And I said, David, what is it about us coming over here to play? And from a business perspective, I had to think about it when he responded to me, but his direct response was, all we need is 300 million of them. And I thought about it. When you think of the volume of eyes that are following the game of basketball over in China, I mean, you got billions. You got over a billion, 1.2, 1.3 billion people over there. And he said, all we need is 300 million, which for lack of a better word, trumps. Which trumps the amount of eyes that we have here, So when you think about the business perspective of it, it's like, the volume of eyes that are global really, has been a lot more beneficial for the league, because from an international perspective now, we're sparking the interest of this young, hungry generation of Europeans and international players, whether it be Africans, whether it be, whether it be, Europeans and Serbians. And you think about Wembanyama, you think about, Joel Embiid. I mean, the list goes on, man. You think about the Joker, you think that was sparked by the seed planted by David Stern back in 1992. when we implemented the Dream Team. And it just spread like wildfire from there. You know,
I'm sure he's happy looking down to see, obviously, the growth of the game. 6 straight overseas MVPs.
Yep.
Do you see this kind of trend continuing to grow, or do you think American players will come back around and kind of meet the challenge?
There's a reason why each team has a staff of 3, 4, 5, even 6 folks that travel throughout the year outside of our country to identify talent. There's a reason why each NBA team has an international scouting staff. That's the reason for that, you know, and that's where we are. That's where the league is, and I don't see it going backwards at all. You know, I see it growing even more. I don't know the exact percentage, but, you know, we're coming close to almost 50%, you know. I mean, you got to think of the amount of jobs in the league now. I mean, you only got 450 jobs, man. So you got millions of young people playing the game of basketball in the United States that are dreaming about playing in the NBA. But what gets in the way of this process of developing your game and doing all the things you need to do to take care of your body is the money, you know, and it starts with AAU basketball, you know. AAU basketball is tainted. I played AAU basketball. It was totally different.
Much different.
And now it's tainted by these industries, man, you know, giving these coaches money, you know, and it's not even about developing the player anymore. It's not. It's not even about developing the fundamentals and the skills of the game. It's not about that anymore. When over there,
that's all it's about.
That's all it's about, man. I mean, look at Luka. Jesus Christ, man. I mean, his skill level is off the charts. It is off the charts. And it's not like that, you know, our young people here can't develop like that as well, but it's too much that gets in the way of it. You know, it's too much gets in the way of that process, you know, and thank God, I'm here to be in my son's life. I got a 14-year-old who's 6'4", wears a size 16 shoe, and he loves the game. And I'm going to make sure that he develops his skill level at this particular age. I'm going to make sure that, you know, but not every child has the benefit of having a Hall of Famer in their lives, you know, and constantly in their ear and what have you, you know. But the game has changed, and, you know, it's a beautiful game. It really is. And I love the fact that we're generating a significant amount of income to take, to have an opportunity to take care of generations of families. You know, I like that from that perspective, you know. But the side I don't like is, you know, how it gets in the way of the actual basketball development.
Absolutely.
In the hunger part, it kind of gets in the way of it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this with Dion last week or a couple of weeks ago when we were in Colorado. It's just everything that's handed to these young kids in our country. And
look at the college players.
Right.
I mean, these guys playing for 4 different schools in 4 years.
Crazy.
I mean,
crazy.
It's crazy. It has to be regulated.
There comes a time where you can't run, though. You know, there was nowhere to run. I didn't play. I got to sit here.
You had to get better.
You had to. And that, I mean, for the same reason you spoke, you know, I got 15-year-old twin boys, same thing. That's why I coached them in AAU to make sure we development. We're not doing too many games. It's more about development and understanding the game. But like you said, not everyone is fortunate enough to have that experience in their ear.
No.
You know, and these parents are listening to whatever these shoe companies are saying or these other companies are promising some dreams. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is.
Championship formula. You have front row seats to the super team era. LeBron, Wade, Bosh. Seems like the era might be coming to an end. What do you think the formula is to building a championship team?
Well, first of all, you got to get guys to buy in and understanding exactly what they need to do collectively. It ain't just one person.
Right.
Collectively, what do y'all need to do collectively in order to be successful? You know, you got to be on time. You know, there has to be a certain level of tenacity. where everything is done together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that means, you know, everything from riding on the bus to the games together, you know, to showing up to, you know, one of your teammates' daughter's birthday parties together, you know, conditioning together, doing, I mean, all these little things. It might seem very minute,
but it adds up.
But when it comes nut cutting time and you in the trenches and you roll to look to your right and look to your left, you know your guys are there,
right?
Because y'all been there consistently together. You know, flying on the plane, doing the tough times together, talking about it, watching film on the plane after a loss. You know, on to the next city. It's just a lot of different things. Just doing stuff together. Then obviously, you know, following, which, you know, a lot of coaches get, then they get a bad rap because they're the scapegoat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm not going to start mentioning any names, you know, but, you know, players got to take some responsibility.
Yeah.
You know?
Facts.
There have to be some responsibility there, you know, and it can't be just, okay, let's get ready to coach. You know, it's the coach's fault. And from a winning standpoint, you know, you got to be in it right from the start. Everybody in it, and it can't be no hidden agendas at all. Everybody has to be in it together to do whatever it takes in order to win. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. Now, injuries are part of the game. It gets in the way sometimes, you know. But next man up mentality. You know, that's why everybody has to stay ready for when their numbers call. You got to stay ready to come in and produce and not complain that, hey, you know, I'm not playing. And, you know, that's what it comes down to. That era for us, yeah, we had the big three, but we had an incredible supporting cast of guys that came in off the bench, you know, and did their job and contributed. Yeah, that's what it came down to.
The 5-man has evolved like crazy. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows that Jokic and Embiid, the way they play and their style. Mm. What are the 3 traits you need to have in the center for them to be successful?
Well, first of all, you know, the number one trait is this era, right? Is you got to have a certain skill level now.
Out on the floor.
Yeah. You got to be able to handle the ball just a little bit. Not too much.
Right.
But just a little bit for handoffs. You got to be able to knock down a mid-range and maybe a three-pointer every now and then. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to have that skill. But you got to have a certain comfort level with handling the ball. And last but not least, you got to be in the best shape of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be in the best shape of your life because guys, they're running now. You got to be up on. I mean, it's a lot more movement.
Yeah.
Now out on the perimeter, and you got to be in the best shape of your life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do.
Adam Silver, it seems like, you know, he's kind of going back to he wants to go back to the more physical style, and then as you see now, with Minnesota having so much success, going up to the 2 big man style, the big 4 and the big 5 style, and they have success. You think it's gonna get back to that eventually?
I don't know. To tell you the truth, I mean, I would love for it to because I lived in that era.
Yeah, I like that style too. I mean,
that would be entertaining.
Yeah,
it really would. You know, I'm sure they're not gonna let it get out of hand to the point to where it was like the Knicks Heat series.
Yeah.
They're not gonna let it get to that.
Right.
But I think they should allow some physicality because scoring is way too easy, man.
Way too easy.
Jesus Christ. I mean, you can hardly touch guys, man.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good for the game.
Yeah.
I do.
Switch up a little bit. We want to talk about your upbringing. Can you share how you ended up in foster care? You talked about Miss Fanny 3.
Yeah.
And the value she instilled in you. Yeah. And she fostered 49 children. That says a lot about her. Can you speak about her?
Well, you know, when you think about, you know, broken homes, you know, I was a product of it. And there's so many children out there that could grow up being raised by their grandmother and their mom and what have you, their fatherless homes and things of that nature. You know, my mother and father, you know, they were married for 11 years and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Happens.
We went to counseling and, I remember this clearly, how detailed everything was from that perspective, and there was some emotional barriers that we had to break down as a family. And I didn't handle it too well, and I ended up staying under the care of the social services because my mom and dad had their own demons that they were dealing with. And the therapist told them that, they needed an opportunity to get themselves straight before they started taking care of me. And so I had to stay in this group home for a little bit. And the little bit turned into almost a year.
Yeah.
So staying in the group home for a year, still going through counseling sections, they asked me that I want to go home. I reached a point where I was frustrated. I didn't want to go and choose who I wanted to live with.
That's tough.
At that particular time. I was 12 years old, man, And finally, the way the system works is usually kids that are in the system, they identify families for you to visit and possibly live with. And foster families.
Yeah.
Yep. So Miss Three is something that she had done a good portion of her life in taking in kids. And she took me in. And immediately I could kind of feel the love and the deep concern and the caring and all of that. I could feel it in the household. I didn't want to go nowhere. But it was a blessing for me, because I didn't realize, that everything that I needed was right there, not just in the household, but the schools that I went to at that particular time. My junior high school coach, Coach Lassane, he was a father figure for me. My JV coach, Coach Spellman, he was a father figure, very disciplinarian. It's something that I needed at that particular time. And then my high school coach at that time was Bill Lassiter. He was a product of John B. McClendon, who worked alongside of James Naismith. And he was a defensive-minded coach. My high school coach, Bill Lassiter. And all of the things that I needed at a particular time, man, were right there for me. And I ended up being the #1 high school player in the country just based on the opportunity that I was given by Fannie Three.
Yeah.
And she was a faith-based woman. She, very spiritual woman, faith-based, a retired school teacher. And she was a giving woman. So she implemented all those things in me. And when I left the nest, I didn't look back. I would come back and visit her here and there. But, when I got to DC, man, Georgetown, Big John just was handed the baton.
Yeah.
And, you know how Big John was. He ain't take no mess.
Yeah.
And he treated all of us like we were his sons. And, it was what I needed at that particular time in the big city. I had a lot of things, coming at me, being the #1 high school player in the country, and Big John kind of kept me on the straight and narrow, and ended up graduating through the wishes of Fannie Three, my foster mom, ended up graduating and getting my degree from Georgetown. I could have easily left early. I had an opportunity to do it, especially after my freshman year. I could have.
You made a promise to her?
I made a promise to her that I would get my degree. That was all she was concerned about. Mm-hmm. She wanted me to get my degree. Yeah.
That's beautiful. You were 6'5" at 13 years old. You fell in love with hooping, watching Patrick Ewing. Mm-hmm. What role did Patrick Ewing play on basketball for you?
I mean, he played an incredible role because at that time, NCAA baskball was huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Back then, 5 Slammer Jam.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it. Georgetown back then, Carolina. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
It was everything. So as a kid, I was tuned in.
Right.
So, and back during that championship game when they played Carolina and watching Patrick block all those shots, man, I was enamored by that. I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And I kind of patterned my game after him. And, you know, I loved the starter jackets and the gear and all that stuff growing up. I was attracted to everything that represented Georgetown, I was attracted to it.
Yeah.
And the rest was history. You know, Patrick ended up being somewhat of a mentor to me. And I remember being in the Nike ABCD camp in Princeton. And I remember Shawn Kemp, Billy Owens. I mean, the whole crop was there. I mean, we were all on display in Princeton. And Big John called Patrick up. Patrick drove down from New York. And he was sitting in the stands with Big John. And as I was on the floor stretching, getting ready for the games, and I felt somebody tap me on the shoulder, and it was Patrick.
Ooh.
I was like, oh. So I had to put on the show.
Yeah. That show up.
Yeah, man. So now we've developed this brotherly type of relationship, you know, between myself, him, and Dikembe, you know, and Big John instilled a whole lot in us over the years. God rest his soul, because Big John played the center position, and he played behind one of the greatest to ever do it in Bill Russell. So Big John instilled all of that knowledge in us throughout his tutelage of during my years at Georgia.
Mm-hmm. I got a short story about Big John. We was in Golden State together, and I had just came from the team, and I had a little trouble the 2 seasons before, but I had an interesting story, and I was coming back playing well, and John, they wanted to do it. John was working for TNT, and they was wanting to do that Sunday special on Baron Davis.
Right.
Well, he convinced them to do it on me and tell my story and have my mom come, because it was a Mother's Day game.
Oh, wow.
And he did a story on me and my mom for Mother's Day, but he forced TNT to do that. So that shows the character, and it meant a lot to me, because I needed it at the time.
Right.
Because I was getting so much bad press. He wanted to give me some good press on Mother's Day with my mama. So
that's great.
I was forever indebted to him.
Man.
And like my mama tell this story too, and she get teary-eyed because she knew what I was going through at the time. So for me and her to do that on national TV, it was great.
Right.
So I owe that to Big John.
Yeah, you know, when John walked out of that game protesting Prop 42, that was huge for all young Black athletes. And it just defined the character of who Big John was all about. You know, he was about bringing up the next generation, man. And he knew that if that was implemented, then that would have kept a lot of young people of color from getting quality education and experience in higher learning.
And getting a good opportunity.
And getting an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of speaks to the man that he was, you know, and he taught us accordingly, you know, based on those things. His gym was like his classroom. He received a lot of criticism because he closed his doors. He didn't allow any media in, because he wanted to teach us
without distractions.
Without a distraction, without being dissected or ridiculed for his teaching tactics. They worked for us. We all turned out all right, you know, because of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was tough love too. It was a tough love type of teaching, type of coaching.
What we needed though.
And there
was love behind it. And I feel like that's what can't be translated these days, because everything we're saying is coming from a place of love, but it's not translated the same through the individuals we're trying to give it to.
No, you're right. You're definitely right about that. And now players don't receive it quite like we received it back then. Like I said, you know, the word fragile is used quite a bit, because unfortunately it's hard to say the things that need to be said to people. It's hard to say those things that need to be said to these players, you know, because they take offense to it. You know, they're fragile from that perspective, you know, when ultimately it's about helping you improve your way of thinking.
That's the only reason why we're talking to you. To help you.
Exactly. Improve your way of thinking, so you can be successful.
That's it.
That's all it's about. Yeah, that's all it's about.
Let's move on and talk about another great man. I just came from VA. I coached the Allen Iverson game every year, his high school classic.
Nice.
And he had it in VA. Nice. And we practiced at Boo Williams.
Oh, nice.
And I saw your name on the wall. Yeah, and so many people naming this crazy facility.
JR,
2 big old sides.
Stiff.
Yeah, Allen Iverson, Joe Smith, Jared Jackson, so many.
Joe,
He also spoke at Allen Iverson street name, and I got a chance to meet him for the first time. Why is he such a great person? I mean, I see all the people he touched, but he's just a different person in the cities where he's from. Like, people really admire him.
When I think about Boo, I think about, first of all, he was another angel in my life and a father figure. And he really took me outside of my environment and exposed me to the game of basketball at a totally different level.
To what could be, yeah.
Exactly. Which is why I got the national recognition in high school, is because Boo exposed me to talent across the country. He took me outside of my environment, and he challenged me on so many different levels, and that's what I loved about Boo. He challenged me, he was telling me how great I could be, but at the same time, he challenged me consistently in order for me to be great. I didn't know anything about 5-star camp until I met Boo Williams, and 5-star was a place to be. It was where everybody went to compete against the best players across the country. And he threw me out there, and I got humbled, but I got better.
Right.
I got better. I got better because of Boo's initiative, and that's how he built that particular empire, is because he took guys from the street and he took them out of this invisible fence out of their neighborhoods. He took them out of that and he exposed them to, different places across the country. Boo is the reason why I flew on my first airplane. So I thank God for Boo and what he did for me as a player, what he did for my career. With what he did for me as a young man.
Yeah, he has like 50 NBA players' names.
Yeah. And WNBA players.
Yeah, but it's 2 big old gyms with 3 courts. All of both gyms built out around, dog.
If I'm not mistaken, he's actually back coaching the 17s this year, too. He's coaching again.
Good for him.
Yeah, he looked good, too.
Yeah. Good stuff.
How good was Shawn Kemp in high school?
Incredible, man. Incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Really incredible to watch because he was so athletic. And he was a 6'10" Vince Carter.
Oof.
Yeah, he was.
That's a great way to explain it.
The elevation, the hang time, the explosion, all of that. He was a 6'10" Vince Carter. Yeah, he really was.
That's a great way to put that. I never heard it like that.
He was.
Just think about Vince is 6'6".
Yeah,
think about 6'10"
Vince Carter. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Spread. He moved like a guard almost when he was in the air. Yeah, he made that shit look sweet. Yeah,
the hang time, walking through the air, all of that stuff.
I just connected with him last week.
You seen him?
Yeah, no, we talking on the phone now because he saw me his number through Instagram, said he want to come on the show. He said he been watching.
Man, that's great.
Yeah, so
you should, man.
And he's back in the cannabis space too.
You should put him on the show. You should get Billy on the show.
Yeah.
Billy O.
Billy O.
He has so much time.
He was the first really versatile
point forward
6'9" point
forward.
Yeah. He was that guy. Yeah. Most definitely. Can handle it, can rebound, can fill up the stat sheet.
Across the board.
Billy O.
We touched obviously on John Thompson. We want to get a little bit more in depth. First time he met with you and your family, explain what that was like and just how you kind of knew.
Well, the uniqueness about Big John was, he always wanted to separate himself from the rest. And he did a good job of that because his number one priority was making sure that young black men graduated. that wasn't a priority for a lot of coaches.
Right.
It wasn't an emphasis for a lot of coaches. It really wasn't. And especially coming from the inner city, he knew how important that was to the families of these young Black men. So Bob Wade, Bobby Crimmins, Terry Holland, Jim Boeheim, they all came to my house. Not together, but one at a time. And they gave their pitch. Big John asked to be last. He sat in the living room. All the other coaches were like, hey, we're going to give him this. He's going to get this. If you all need to come down, we'll fly you down. And if y'all need a job, we'll make sure y'all have a job so y'all can be close to him. All these things they were promising. Big John came in. He was very candid. He said, Ms. Street, thanks for having me here. Now, I remember it clearly. He looked in the face. He said, I'm not promising your son anything. I'm not going to give him anything. He's got to work for everything that he gets. He's looking at her and telling her this. And I was like this. My eyes was like, damn. It's far different from what the other coaches just said. And then finally, Big John said, I will promise you one thing, though, Ms. Street. If he goes to class, he's going to graduate. So Ms. Street looked at me. She was like, well, we know where you going to school. Straight up. I mean, she was like, because she was a huge advocate of education and being a retired school teacher and what have you, So, I took that next step. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't realize the challenges I was going to face. So, I did enough just to make sure I stayed on the team my freshman year. And he called me to his office. I had good grades enough to stay on the team. So I was good, He called me to the office and after the first semester, and he said, look, you can do better than this. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm doing all right. I'm on the team. He's like, listen to me, son. He said, if you had the cure for cancer, you wouldn't even know it. Those were his exact words to me. And I said, well, I ain't trying to be a doctor, coach. He said, listen to me, son. You can do better. He said, if you don't do better, you won't play. So that next semester, I made the dean's list. So all it took was him motivating me, And years later, I look back on that. Fast forward, I've served 6 years on the executive board at Georgetown University. And never in my wildest dreams as a freshman at Georgetown would I have thought I would have served as one of the board of trustees at Georgetown University. But all of that was because of Big John's motivation, for sure. Yeah.
Obviously taught you a lot of things, and you spoke to some of them. But one thing I found interesting in it, and it paid off for you once you got in the league with the contracts, of negotiating for yourself. Right. Was something that he spoke about and was instrumental about, and advocating for you guys to be negotiating for yourself, and then also how to show gratitude to someone who's made an impact in your life. Can you speak to just both those?
Well, you know what? He always told us, he had this deflated basketball on his desk. And the basketball always represented the message that he would always tell us, basically, don't let the game use you. You use the game. Don't let, the sum total of 7 to 9 pounds of air be your only existence. Because when the ball stops bouncing, what are you going to do? Yeah, what are you going to do? So that deflated basketball is there, was always there to remind us of that from that perspective, So learning, doing the things you needed to do to take responsibility for your business was extremely important, knowing that, hey, you're a business manager, you gotta audit people that's taking care of your money. You gotta be in those negotiation meetings You got to be in those meetings, negotiating, listening to what's going on so that you can make intelligent decisions. People tend to look at you differently, when you show interest in what's going on with your business. They have a different, instead of you not being there and relying on somebody else to do it for you. So he emphasized that tremendously. Outside of all of that, the giving back part, his life embodied that. So it automatically had an influence on us. So when I think about my high school coach, when I think about Family 3, when I think about my teachers, when I think about Big John, when I think about all these people that contribute to my well-being as a person as well as an athlete, I would be doing them a disservice
to not pay it forward
if I didn't pay it forward.
Yeah.
Because, they helped me get to where I am, I wouldn't be here without other people's contribution. We wouldn't be sitting here today in front of these mics without other people's contributions, So when you have an opportunity to pay it forward, you do it, because somebody helped you get here from that perspective, which is why we just celebrated 20 years for our foundation, the Mourning Family Foundation, which we have provided educational opportunities for children and families in the inner city. The cost of living here in South Florida, since I got here in '95, has gone up close to 50%. And it's hard for a lot of the natives to even live here anymore because it's so expensive to live here now. And when people come here, they go east of 95. They go towards the water. They go towards the ocean. It's beautiful here. They don't go west, where there's about 1 million people that live below the poverty level. And there's a lot of people that don't know that part of Miami. And when you think about a quarter of the population here that live below the poverty level, a byproduct of that is, high school dropouts, teenage pregnancy, drug abuse, criminal-related activities, the list goes on. So what I know works is making sure that relationships are established. And through those relationships, through our foundation, we have built, through the help of other individuals, we built a 56,000 square feet facility, literally about a 2-minute drive from here, that has gymnasium, 14 classrooms, charter school, in-school, after-school summer programming, dance studio, music studio, 2 technology centers in there, a health and wellness component as well, mental health and wellness component, all free of charge for this inner city community, this historic community called Overtown. I've been doing this for 20 years now. And we just celebrated our 20th anniversary and our grand opening of the building. It was a $20 million project, which we raised all the money through local, businesses and corporations and private donors. But we graduate 100% of our kids from high school. We bring them in at age 5. We follow them to age 25. And close to 90% of our kids go to college and graduate. Now, we have about 8 of our employees and staff that have gone through the program, graduated, and now they're working for us.
That's dope.
So this is something I want to replicate, not just across South Florida, but across the country, because there's so many inner cities across the country that don't have a place, kids don't have a place of refuge. I spent some time with President Obama, and we were golfing, and I remember him telling me in the golf cart one day, we were talking about working in the city, and he was talking about, some of the obstacles that they face in Chicago and things of that nature. And he said the problem with our young people across the country is that they don't have anywhere to go, and they don't have the right people holding them accountable for their actions. So we've created that. We've created that with the help of an organization in Portland, Oregon called SEI, Self-Enhancement Incorporated. They've been around for 40 plus years. They've been receiving grants, huge grants from Phil Knight, Nike. And I adopted that model through my good friend Tony Hobson, who was the founder, and we implemented it here, and the rest is history, you know. So that has been my life's work. I've been in talks with Udonis Haslem to replicate it in his home borough of Liberty City as well, you know, and there's so many other areas that need it as well, you know. But I'm a strong believer that kids have the ability, many of them just don't have the resources. Okay, so if you can create the resources and you can surround them with strong, consistent, caring voices of influences. Consistent, it has to be consistent. If you can surround them with that, then you can develop a mentality to help them understand exactly their full potential and what they're capable of doing with their lives, you know. Other than that, you know, a lot of these kids fall victim to the streets, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that. They fall victim to the streets. What they see is pretty much what they'll be.
Right.
You know?
That's what they look up to.
Yeah.
That's what they see.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on that. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you,
I didn't know the depth of it. Obviously, I knew what was going on, but the depth and celebrating 20 years of that is beautiful. Back to hooping. You jump on the scene as a freshman, average 5 blocks a game at Georgetown. Mutombo becomes a teammate.
Right.
2 incredible shot blockers. We heard a story about Mutombo trying to pick up girls at a Georgetown bar. Can you tell us anything about that?
How did that go?
Man. Hey, listen, man. Listen, we all had a good time back in college.
Yeah.
And Dikembe had an even better time. He took advantage of those moments when we had parties to go to, because he was the one that was heads above everybody else. So all the eyes was on him. So he took advantage of it. But we had a lot of fun. We had some memorable moments. Probably one of the most memorable moments that I had with him. We were dorm mates, and his feet hung off the bed in the dorm and everything.
Because he's about 7'2"?
Yeah, he's 7'2". But anyway, one day he was in the kitchen cooking, and he ran out of flour. He was trying to make some chicken, so he used some cornbread mix. Man, he had the whole apartment smoking. He had fire department had cars with smoke coming all out of the apartment, man. He in there frying chicken. The chicken had burnt on the outside because of the cornbread. And it was raw inside. It was like, I was like, oh my God. You know, so.
You need cornmeal, bro, not cornbread. You need cornmeal, bro, not cornbread.
We spoke to, when you came, obviously, how big the NCAA was back then.
Yeah.
You guys ran into a juggernaut of a college team in UNLV in 1991. Speak to that team, arguably one of the greatest college teams of all time.
By far. I mean, they were well built and well coached. You know, Coach Tarkanian, you know, you had LJ and Stacey Augmon, you know, and, you know, they had a lineup, and then they had a bench as well, you know.
Lee Mayberry.
So, Lee Mayberry. I mean,
Lee Mayberry.
Yeah, they were all nice. So we had young guards, and they were overwhelmed, you know. So it was hard for them with the pressure that Greg Anthony was putting on them.
Anderson Hunt.
It was hard for them to even get us the ball.
I remember all
like
that.
we wanted, you know. So they're definitely a team for the ages. When you think of dominant NCAA teams, they were definitely a team for the ages.
Y'all was a guard away. Y'all was one solid guard away from beating them.
That was it.
Yeah.
We were AI away.
Yeah.
AI away.
You're right.
We were AI away from beating them. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah,
we lost to them in Arizona. We played that game in Arizona.
Big game.
Yeah.
Drafted number 2 overall in the 1992 draft to the Charlotte Hornets. 1 pick after Shaq and 1 pick before Leitner.
Right. Speaking of Shaq, yesterday, Wembanyama won unanimously.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ernie and they announced it and they let Shaq read the envelope and Ernie was talking about all the players that had won Rookie of the Year unanimously. And Shaq was like, I didn't win it unanimously. And Ernie said, no. A guy named Alonzo Mourning got 2 votes. So I'm watching, and he's like, damn, you Alonzo Mourning. So I text him. I said, Shaq, I still love you, man. Let me enjoy my 2 votes. So he called me right after they went to commercial, and they were all laughing on the phone.
Let you get your 2 votes, man. Hold on to 2 votes, man.
Yeah, man. You get my 2 votes. Don't steal my joy, man.
I tell people all the time, when my 2010 in Charlotte, everybody knew I didn't have a chance to win the MVP, but I got a vote.
Let me enjoy my vote in 2010. It was 1 vote, but let me enjoy my vote. Somehow your mom got the vote that year.
Yeah, I know, right? Somebody.
I always tell
MJ must have did it.
I always tell the big fella, I said, look, I had numbers rookie season 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I had numbers
Crazy
rookie
numbers.
season. And just like you, I had numbers. And I said, and it should have been co-rookie of the year because I always tell them, Orlando didn't make it to the playoffs.
Ooh, we did.
Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte, when we went to the playoffs the first time.
Yeah.
I said, so y'all didn't make it. I led my team to the playoffs.
That should have held some weight.
That should have held a little bit of weight,
Yeah.
but they gave it to him outright. So, yeah. It's all good.
You averaged 20-10 right out the gate.
I was 21, 10, and 3 blocks a game.
Yeah. Out the gate.
Yeah, out the gate. Yeah.
That year, what do you think was your welcome to the NBA moment?
MJ.
Took a breath before he said it.
Hey, we gonna start calling them initials. Initials.
Yeah.
MJ did it.
When he dunked on me.
Oh,
he dunked on me, screamed, he flexed and screamed. I was like, man,
I
because I
remember
had
that
blocked
one.
a bunch of shots, he came on. It was like, the roar after he dunked on me, man, I was like, okay. Yeah.
At home or in Chicago?
Oh, it was at home.
Mm.
Oh, he got me good.
That's B's fault.
No, I'm blaming Kendall Gill for that. Kendall Gill was always talking shit to Mike. And I'm like, Mike, yo, he gonna blow past you. He coming at me. Yeah. He coming at me.
Was Rex Chapman on that team?
No, Rex wasn't on that team.
He wasn't on that team. Okay.
No.
Because I remember
No, Rex was on that team, then he got traded.
Rex was on that team. Because
Yeah,
I remember the movie talking about when Jordan in and out of him.
Yeah.
And got by him, and that's when he.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the movie.
Great.
That was Rexy in and out.
Yeah. Hey, man.
You had the highest attendance in jersey sales that year. You, LJ Muggs, and Kendall Gill.
Yeah.
How electric was that at the time?
Let me tell you what, man. That was a fun team to play with. It really was. It was exciting. Muggs is the best. Have y'all had Muggs on the show?
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course.
Man. Yeah.
My guy.
Muggs is the best, man. He really is, And when you think about the charisma that LJ had with the gold tooth and wearing the dresses, grandmama and all that stuff, then you think about Muggs being the smallest player in the league and young people relating to Muggsy, And then you had me, the new kid on the block. It was a match made in heaven, man. And then we had the fly teal jerseys with the pinstripes.
Yeah, the pinstripes.
Then we had the
classic.
starter jackets, the Charlotte, the purple and the teal jackets,
Dope
man.
Boy Magic.
Dope Boy Magic.
Yeah. So you think about that time, man. It was perfect timing for us.
Yeah.
And we kind of immediately developed the respect of the league, because we came in running people off the court. We had this passing game type offense, where the ball was moving, and we got it out quick, and Muggs is pushing it. Muggs is like, don't let me beat you down the court. So we were flying, and he was distributing, man. So it was fun. It was a fun game. It really was, And then for us to beat Boston in the first round, that was huge for the city. We had, like you said, we had the highest attendance. in Carolina. I mean, that's a basketball state, so the following was, we couldn't go nowhere. We were rock stars in Charlotte. We didn't pay for any meals. Everywhere we went, it was fun. It really was.
Speak to, I think, someone who gets looked over as LJ. Had a lot of game. Obviously you guys had your battles in college and in the pros, but teammates at one point too. Speak to LJ's versatility and what his game was like.
He was 6'6", 6'7". He was similar to a Charles Barkley, but probably a little bit more athletic. Very skilled, great hands around the basket. Unfortunately, the injury kind of derailed his career. But if he would have never gotten the back injury, who knows?
Basketball IQ was high.
Yeah, basketball IQ was high. Have you had him on the show?
No.
Yeah, man.
I just hit Tim Thomas today to give me the number.
You got to get him on the show, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just you got to think he came during an era. A lot of people don't realize he won the dunk contest that year. Yeah, man. He won the dunk contest. Man, he was extremely athletic,
At 260?
Yeah. He was a load on that block, man. Yeah, he was. He was a load on that block, man. So him and I complimented each other extremely well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So you get traded one day before the season in '95. What was your first interaction like with Riles? Because he just got there right before you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, leading up to that, I had a conversation with Pat Ewing. And I said, yo, man, I said, look, I got a chance. I got a chance to come to New York and play with you. I got a chance to go to LA. I got a chance to go, I think it was Indiana, and then Miami. And Pat was like, go to Miami. And I was like, what? I said, dude, we got a chance to play together, man. We could play together in New York, win a championship. He's like, no, go to Miami. Let Riles build a team around you. I said, well, what about his practices? He said, dude, you went to Georgetown. He said, you can handle it. So under Pat Ewing's blessings,
wow,
I went to Miami. So that's how that all happened. That's how that all happened. So a lot of people don't know that.
So that's '95. So Shaq was in LA?
No. Shaq was in Orlando.
Orlando. So you would have been the first center to go to LA.
Yeah. I would have been. Yeah,
wow.
I had a chance. I had it was 4 different teams. So.
And what happened in Charlotte? They just ran out of money? Or didn't have the money?
Well, we had an owner that wasn't willing to make the investment. He wasn't willing to make the investment. And for lack of a better words, he basically said I wasn't worth the money I was asking for, So, we left. David Falk was my agent at the time, and he said, look, I'm going to get you this number, and these are the several teams that I could get it from. You choose where you want to go.
And that number was 100?
It was 105. Yeah. 105 for 7.
So South Beach.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know that.
He said, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Best thing ever happened to me, bro.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I came down here and I've seen this place change tremendously. Been a blessing to experience this culture and develop some amazing relationships, but more importantly, to be a part of an organization. I'm very proud to be a part of an organization led by the Harrison family, Mickey and Madeline Harrison and Nick, and first class people.
I can tell from the outside looking in, since they appreciate you.
First class.
They appreciate you.
I mean, they are first class people, bro. There's a family when they don't take that word lightly. There's a family atmosphere for sure, and the culture was developed. When they brought Pat Riley here. When they brought Pat here, Pat told me his dream. We practiced at this old fitness center. We didn't even have a practice facility or anything. And then the outer bounds of the fitness center was a wall. So Pat's practices in there, we were running into the wall. Part of the wall didn't have pad on it. It was no joke. I mean, and some intense practices on that little court. And then one day after practice, all the guys had left. Pat, coach, and I sat on the floor and we talked for 2 hours. And that right then, I knew exactly what he wanted. You know, he said, I have a dream of a parade going down Biscayne Boulevard. And he said that I brought you here to help us get there. We started the process. And, you know, he made trades and he got players here, you know. He started developing this mentality of hardest working, most professional, toughest, meanest, nastiest team in the NBA, most disliked. He started developing that, you know, and he implemented that in all the players that he brought here. And, you know, if you didn't want any parts of it, you know, he got rid of you. It's as simple as that, you know. But you came here to be a part of that mentality. And fortunate enough, you know, through trades and players being attracted to you know, Coach Riley and the city and, you know, our organization, you know, we were able to get 3 championships out of this, you know. We drafted D. Wade, some amazing things happened. Obviously, you know, with Tim Hardaway and myself, you know, we kind of started momentum.
Yeah, I want to talk about that duo because that was one of the nastiest duos in the 90s.
We started the momentum, man. Mm-hmm. That momentum was huge, you know, and we were fun to watch. You know, we came up short a lot of times, but we were fun to watch. You know, we had the franchise record for games won. It was 61 games, you know, and then along came D. Wade, and you know, and then Shaq came in here, and we won our first championship in 2006. You know, which was an incredible ride. It really was an incredible ride. We got that parade down Biscayne Boulevard, and then we bought the big 3 here, man. You know, so you know, we're trying to get back there again.
Speak to how incredible D. Wade was in that Dallas series, because I kind of feel like that's when he put his mark on the game.
Let me tell you what. To average, I think he averaged like 34, 35 a game against that team in the finals, man. We just put a saddle on him, man, and we rode him. Yeah. You know, because he had it going. He had the utmost confidence, D. Wade at that particular time. And he walked on the court like nobody can stop me from doing what I want to do, you know. Riles put together an incredible supporting cast with Antoine, you know, Jay Will, Posey, UD held his weight, you know, on the boards and everything, and then Shaq and myself, GP. I mean, we got it done, you know, but it took a lot of sweating, man. It really did. You know, we went down 0-2 and then when Mark Cuban got on David Letterman or one of those shows and started talking about he had a parade plan and everything, you know, and that kind of lit a fire under us. And then we came back and won 4 games in a row, you know, and I remember Riles telling us clearly, you know, the hardest thing that we'll ever do in our lives is win a championship. And he said, you never know you're going to win one until it happens. He said, you know, you can look great on paper and you can have all the, you know, the personnel in place, you know, but you never know you're going to win one until it actually happens, you know. So that was probably one of the greatest basketball moments in my life. Out of all the things that I experienced on the hard floor, that's one of the greatest basketball moments in my life.
Amazing. I want to back up a little bit real quick.
Yeah.
You guys playing the Knicks in the playoffs 4 years in a row.
Right.
And obviously that during that 98 series, you and LJ getting that fight where Van Gundy's jumping on people's, I think here goes the picture right here.
Yeah.
Van Gundy's jumping on people's legs, but how competitive was, because a lot of people don't know, Riles is in a lawsuit against the Knicks, comes to you guys. So obviously those games are going to be very personal, and you guys run into them 4 straight years in the playoffs and have your battles. But what do you remember most about that rivalry in those series versus the Knicks?
Well, it was the level of intensity. You know, as competitors,
That's right.
as competitors, you know, once the lather gets going, you start competing against your opponent, you know, the intensity level gets to the point where, you know, you're in my way.
You don't even see how he had his fist balled up as he was talking about this shit. He still had his fist like, man, let me take you back.
Man, you're in my way from us getting done what we need to get done. You know, so what I need to do to get you out of my way?
Whatever.
Yeah, go through you.
Yeah,
that's it. You know, that's the mentality that we had. And you know what? Riles, he developed that mentality in both of those teams.
Yeah, no question.
He did. So those were his brainchilds, both teams. And then we were both met each other.
Smoke.
You know, so...
And Van Gundy was an assistant to Riles,
He was an assistant to Riles, you know. So that mentality was developed. It was deep-rooted.
Energy was strong.
And we knew each other's plays. We knew everything. That's why the scores were so low, you know?
Battles.
Yeah. I mean, the score ended up being, you know, a lot of games, 82 to 85.
Yeah.
That was a score, you know, because we knew each other's plays, you know. It was a dogfight. Defense was knocked down, dragged out, you know, possessions, hard fought.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you used to be able to touch people back then. You can't touch nobody.
A little bit more than touching, but
Yeah, you want true rivalries like this, or are they all just based off these rivalries?
Man, well, another rivalry that was like that was you got to throw the LA Detroit, LA Boston, Boston Detroit, okay, and then you got to throw the Chicago Detroit series. Yeah. You got to throw them in. You got to throw them in.
Throw them serious.
Yeah. You got to throw them. Also, Indiana Chicago series.
Yeah.
That was intense, man.
Yeah.
We skipped one question that I wanted to ask him. I got a bone to pick with him. Man, you never got that invite. I never got that invite to that Zoe's summer group. Can we bring it back? Can All Smoke Productions partner up with Zoe and bring it back?
Let me tell you what, man, that was a huge production. Man.
I know.
A lot of work.
How many years did you guys have that?
I did it for 16 years, man. Yeah,
We would hear about it on the West Coast. I
Yeah,
just be
jealous.
Yeah. People used to come from all over the country.
I would imagine.
I created a festive atmosphere, fundraising, okay, where we had all-star basketball game, a dinner, a black tie dinner, a comedy show, concert, comedy show, a family health and wellness day, and a golf tournament.
In Miami.
So I did 5 events.
It's a lot.
So
One of those alone is tough.
Yeah, I did all of them, and I had a huge production team, and we did year-round planning for that. And it got to the point where it was like the production was like All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people would come from all over because we had after parties every night. That's what people would come in town for, the after parties as well. So I had different celebrity DJs DJing at the after parties, so it was dope.
I know, because we used to hear about it. We used to hear about it. Well, you going to show something? You going to show something?
Yeah. But more importantly, we raised money. We raised millions of dollars, man, for our inner city initiatives and providing educational opportunities for children and families. And that's what kind of catapulted the foundation even more and built this momentum behind the work we were doing in the inner city and helping kids go to college and graduate and things of that nature. So it was a blessing to do that. It really was. But it's a lot of work, man. I could not
imagine
do that.
Right
Couldn't
now.
not do
That's
that.
a long time, though.
16 years.
16 years we did it.
That's a long time.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And you know what? What helped it was a lot of corporations lot of corporations kind of saw the volume of people that were coming from all over. So we got sponsorships from so many different people. Yeah.
Revenue for the city, absolutely. Something we've been very pro on our show about and during our careers is just, the painkillers and opioids that were pumped into professional athletes. We're very pro cannabis. Toradol was something that was used, and what were some of the other names? Celebrex, all these different things. So you obviously had kidney issues. And would you say some of that was due to the medicine you were taking to be on that court?
By far.
You mind sharing that journey?
I think, first of all, it's my fault because I chose to put it in my body. It was introduced to me, the painkillers were introduced to me by team trainers. And I used them to to play.
Because you were taught, not to cut you off, you were taught back at Georgetown to play through stuff.
Yeah, man.
Be on that court.
Yeah, I used them to play, man. I needed to, I wanted to get out there and play and compete. I had my fair share of injuries. I had 5 knee surgeries, 3 on this knee, 2 on this knee. And then I had other injuries here and there, and they're part of the game. It was a physical game back then. And between the ice baths, it wasn't enough. Between the Epsom salts baths, it wasn't enough. I had to pop a Voltaren or something like that.
So you said it's your fault.
It's my fault.
Okay, but did they give you options?
No, they didn't.
So it's hard for me to accept that, when they didn't give us options. Right. They only gave us one option. So how is it our fault?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm a grown man.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah. So if somebody offers you some crack, okay, then it's up to you whether or not you're going to take it or not.
Right, but that's different. You dealing with people y'all have the same common goal to reaching the championship. You don't think that they're going to give you something, you know what I'm saying, to hurt you long term. We in this together.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's why it's important to educate young people now.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
On alternative ways of healing the body. I'm not going to blame nobody else but myself. Right. But I do know that it did have had an effect on my kidney function, because I don't think I was abusing them. I just think that I just took a lot of them, Yeah, it's not like I was just living off them because during the off season, I just stopped taking them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't need them then.
Yeah.
But during the season, I would pop one to get through it because my Achilles was sore, or I had tendonitis real bad, or my back was hurting that day, or, something I needed to get out there and play that game though, So now, yoga, your diet, anti-inflammatory foods, all of that stuff, educating yourselves on those particular things, which is what I do. I primarily eat plant-based. I got a plant-based chef at the house right now. Okay, so I primarily eat plant-based. Occasionally I eat fish. I eat no dairy at all, none whatsoever. So there's alternative dairy products that you use. That there's plant butter, and there's plant-based cheese, and all that stuff. So for the most part, so people ask me how I keep myself in great shape. Is because I work out 5 times a week, and I eat primarily plant-based foods. And occasionally I eat fish. So and then we have to be proactive with our bodies, bro. The reason why I found out that I had kidney disease is because of a routine physical that we took with the league. That it's mandatory that we take this physical preseason and postseason. And they identified that I had focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. It's a rare disease that scars the filters in the kidney. And then years later, I found out that it was genetic, and it's amazing how we can kind of identify a lot of health obstacles way in advance if we just get a regular checkup, man, even just once a year. you know, and now as athletes, because it was mandatory for us to do it while we were playing, a lot of us just stopped.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy to me to think that you don't want to know what's going on in your body until it's too late.
Right.
You know, so, you know, things like getting your blood pressure checked, you know, getting your PSA check, your prostate check, you know, things of that nature. I mean, all the little things, man, you know. So, and making sure that you get a CT scan and make sure your arteries are clear, you know, because you're not running up and down the court like you used to, you know. So, you know, you could possibly have heart disease and you don't even know it, you know. So a lot of things that I'm hoping that the league does a better job of helping retired players, guys that, you know, that are stepped away from the game, providing the necessary resources for them to get regular checkups.
It's important.
Yeah.
Home stretch. Can you talk us through the recruitment process of getting Bron here? Any truth that Roz dumped a bag full of rings on the table?
Hey, man. I mean, everybody knows his story, man. You know, listen, Pat Riley he's a master architect, basketball architect. You know, he's got the nicknames of the Godfather, the Don, you know, when it comes to basketball. Him understanding the game, understanding what it takes to win. I think at some point, players reach a point where they're tired of, you know, banging their head against that wall, trying to figure out a way to win. And then they make a decision that, okay, I need to go where they have the formula, you know. So I think coach's sell, I think it was an easy sell, you know. I mean, at that particular time, you know, LeBron was at a point where he had been trying to win for years and wasn't working out, you know. So he decided to team up with D Wade and CB, and the key to all of that was CB.
Sacrifice?
Taking a back seat and sacrificing.
Yeah.
And him sacrificing, he still made the All-Star team every year.
Yeah.
But he took a little bit off of, okay, I won't be getting the ball. I'm the third option. Yeah. You know, when obviously he goes to another team, you know, he's the main focus, you know. The key to it all was CB. He did all the little things for us. So you need that one guy to do that. You need the guy, and then you need that one guy to take, okay, yeah, you know, I'm going to do all the little things to help us win. And CB was that. Block shots, rebound, to kick it to Ray to win it, to you know, to salvage that championship opportunity. You know what I'm saying? You know, because if CB doesn't get that rebound and hit Ray on the numbers and he hit that three, then San Antonio wins that championship.
Yeah, Pop don't cut me, he don't get that rebound.
Yeah.
Here goes this dude. Here goes this dude.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah.
Pop don't
No
cut
doubt.
me.
Yeah, there's other two.
They don't even come down there if I'm out there.
What is that shot ranking in NBA history?
Okay, man, it's in the top 10. Easy. Come on, man. That's in the top 10.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, one more question.
Hold on, I'm gonna tell you about that shot. When Ray,
Look how you looking like.
when Ray came to Miami,
You see so back there in the background?
when Ray came to Miami, he this was hilarious. He was doing this drill. When he first came to Miami, he was doing this drill where he would lay on the floor. He had somebody passing him the ball. In midair, he would get up off the floor, catch the ball, and shoot. All right? That was his drill. We all looked at him like, what the hell are you doing? He'd lay on the floor, ball in midair, you get up, catch, shoot, okay? And then he had a drill where you would backpedal, ball in midair, shoot, catch and shoot. That was the drill. Wow. He had to backpedal, and you know that space in between.
He knew exactly where he was, too. He knew exactly where he was.
You had to train yourself enough to be exact, not step out of bounds, not have to look down and see if your feet were behind the line. He did that a million times.
For that one shot.
For that one shot.
Crazy.
For that one shot.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Question real quick before we get to quick hitters. We had Vince Carter on the show a while back, and he said the dunk he had on you in Miami kind of fucked your guys' friendship up for a little bit. Y'all didn't speak for me.
That's not true, man. Why is he telling everybody?
He said you ain't talked to him about 5 years.
No, man. First of all, I invited Vince to my golf tournament. He never came. Okay. Listen, I love Vince. You know, I love what he's done for the game. He caught me, but ask him how many times I blocked his shot.
Right, no question. We know that.
Absolutely.
We know that.
Absolutely.
We know that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he called me. I mean, Vince was that type of guy where, and I had the ability where I would meet guys at the rim.
Yeah.
You know, I just meet you at the rim because I had big enough hands and I was strong enough to really just catch you because I knew you were coming. You know, I knew you were coming to the rim, so I'm gonna meet you right at the rim. I will wait for you, and sometimes it was kind of risky because you get caught sometimes. But with Vince, I went up to catch his, and he went up another level. I was like, oh. He went up another level. He went up one more level. Boom!
It seemed like you knocked him up, like you knocked him up a little bit.
Yeah. It was pretty nasty dunk. Yeah, I'm glad it's a little blurry now. It's not in like HD. Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, we got quick hitters. First thing to come to mind, let us know.
Miami Heat all-time starting five.
Ooh.
Oh, man, I mean, that's easy. Me at the center.
Yeah.
Timmy at the point. D. Wade. Bron. And CB.
Good call. Stretch four.
Yeah.
Top 5 centers of all time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Top 5 centers is Hakeem, Kareem, Bill Russell, Shaq, Patrick. Yeah.
Tougher practices, John Thompson or Pat Riley?
Pat Riley. Pat Riley. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
One album you can listen to with no skips.
With no skips. Oh, wow. 2. I'm gonna mention 2. Eric B. and Rakim. All right. And The Chronic.
The Chronic.
Yeah. You just let them play.
Yeah. You're right. You ain't wrong at all. Childhood crush. Who was your childhood crush?
Childhood crush. I don't know. Thelma on Good Times.
Good Times. Yeah.
Thelma on Good Times. Yeah.
Guilty pleasure.
Cigar and whiskey, man.
Cigar and whiskey.
Yeah, man. A good cigar, a good Fuente, double Chateau, and
some Pappy Van Pelt.
No, Basil Hayden Neat. Yeah.
Neat.
Ooh.
Basil Hayden Neat. Yeah.
That's the big boy shit he's talking about.
That's the big boy shit he's talking about. That's above me.
Zoe been doing this a while, bro.
Well, being in Miami, brother, I'm clear. I'm close to Cuba.
Yeah.
So get a lot of cigar selections there.
Last question.
If you could see one guest on our show, who would it be?
But
you have to help us get your answer on our show.
So somebody you know well, that you could say, hey, I sat down with them. They was cool. You should go on their show.
Well, no, somebody that I would want to see on your show is, well, first of all, isn't alive, you know? So I can't help him get you, but it has to be somebody alive.
Hey, so if you that cold when you get a dead person up there, let me know. Let me know, so I know you cold now.
All right. So, the President Obama, I would like to see.
Oh, good call. We're working on him. We've been told he's supposed to be on our show this summer. So
I let me bow.
So yeah, I'd like to see President Obama on your show. You know, I mean, he's cool. He's got charisma. I've had a chance to spend a lot of time with him, and I think you guys would do well with interviewing him.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope.
The deceased person, Bob Marley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, that was the first.
That's you came into Bob. So, man, we appreciate your time, man.
Most
Obviously,
definitely.
ultimate respect for what you've accomplished on and off the court and the way you continue to live your life, man.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you for your time.
Appreciate it, man.
Hopefully we get the summer groove back. Looking forward to it.
Man, you know what? I got to get y'all down here for my golf tournament.
Oh, yeah.
That's
It's
even better.
actually Dr. King weekend.
When is it? So
It's Dr. King weekend in January.
Yeah,
I'm open.
I get y'all down here, man.
I'm down.
It's a lot of fun, too.
I would love
Y'all get to meet a lot of greats, too. So.
Alonzo Mourning, All the Smoke. You can
Thank
catch
you,
this
brother.
on All the
Appreciate
Smoke
it, man.
Productions YouTube and the DraftKings Network. We'll see y'all next week.